Amaze Bob, a senior toy poodle, spent 10 years living in the streets of Los Angeles, enduring extreme neglect and suffering. His story is one of survival, strength, and the incredible impact of love and care. Bob's heartbreaking condition was the result of years of abuse. His fur had become so matted that it cut off circulation to his legs, leading him to self-amputate 2 of them. His teeth were severely rotted, leaving him with only 4 remaining. Despite all of this, Bob never lost his indomitable spirit. In January 2015, Bob was rescued by Animal Control and transferred to Synergy Animal Rescue in San Diego, a group that specializes in helping senior and special needs dogs. Synergy's motto is love to the forgotten, comfort to the sick, care for the blind, deaf, and dying. And they are dedicated to helping dogs like Bob. When Synergy first reached out, I received an email detailing Bob's condition and the horrific neglect he had suffered. Bob had been owned by homeless people who hadn't groomed him for years. Poodles typically need regular grooming, but Bob had gone an astonishing 10 years without a haircut. As a result, his fur had grown so severely tangled that it cut off circulation to his limbs. When shaved, it became clear that his rear left leg had completely self-amputated. The extent of Bob's suffering was unimaginable. After Bob was rescued, he was taken to the shelter, where he received the medical attention he desperately needed. His front right leg was amputated just above his paw, and his back left leg was amputated just below the knee. Additionally, many of his rotten teeth were pulled out, leaving him with only 4 teeth remaining. Despite these challenges, Synergy quickly took Bob in, offering him the care and love he had never known. We were drawn to his resilience and sweet spirit. After a week of resting and recovering in our home, surrounded by our 2 Siberian Huskies and 2 cats, Bob returned to Synergy for some vet appointments. During this time, his fur began to grow back, and his health continued to improve. It was clear that he was a fighter, and we quickly fell in love with him. However, we were preparing to move out of state, and Bob was returned to Synergy until we could finalize travel plans. We stayed in touch with Synergy's director, Carla, and expressed our desire to adopt Bob. Bob went back to Carla. We visited them a few times and talked to her about how we wished we could adopt him. She said we'd work something out, and the excitement began. Carla kept Bob during our moving process and settling in. During that time with her, Bob continued to heal and recover. He began to play, run, and was well on his way to a full recovery. He visited people with special needs to spread his message of strength, love, compassion, and understanding. In May, Bob was also set to visit kids at the Child Oncology Clinic, but then became suddenly ill himself. He spent several weeks at the vet as they ran tests and discovered a large infected abscess in his mouth. For a while, we thought it may be the end of Bob's journey, but thankfully he is a fighter and refused to give in. He made a full recovery, though he did lose even more of his teeth. The day finally came on June 29th. We were ready to make the adoption official. Carla flew from San Diego to Denver with Bob, where we greeted him with open arms. Bob remembered us immediately and was excited to join our family. Carla's bittersweet farewell marked the beginning of Bob's new life. After Bob's adoption, he joined our 2 Huskies, K2 and Denali, and quickly became part of our family. Bob enjoyed going on adventures with his new siblings, spreading his message of love, strength, and resilience. Although Bob cannot get prosthetics due to the shape of his remaining limbs, we are fully committed to his care and quality of life. We explored options with orthopets in Denver, but after an in-depth analysis, it was determined that prosthetics would be uncomfortable and painful for Bob. Instead, we focus on ensuring he is comfortable and happy, which he is every day. As a professional dog trainer, I work with Bob regularly to help him get used to grooming. Bob had been terrified of grooming tools, but with patience and treats, he gradually became more comfortable. We even took him to a professional groomer, where Bob made significant progress. He had his nails trimmed, his face shaved, and his body cleaned up, and we celebrated these milestones as Bob's healing continued. Bob's journey hasn't been easy, but thanks to the dedication of animal control officers, Synergy, and the caring people who have helped him, he is no longer suffering. It's sometimes hard for people to understand why so much time and effort should be devoted to a senior dog with only 2 legs. But Bob's story proves that he deserves the chance to live out his days in comfort and love. He no longer experiences the misery he once did, and instead, he thrives in his new life. Bob's story is one of strength, survival, and unconditional love. Despite his challenges, he enjoys playing every day, going on short walks, and running with surprising speed. He doesn't dwell on his past, and neither do we. Instead, we focus on the joy and love he brings to our lives. Bob may have lost a few legs, but there is very little that he can't do. He loves dinner time, belly rubs, and being surrounded by the people who care for him. Bob's story is about making the best of what life has given him. He may have limitations, but he doesn't let them define him. When you look at Bob, you don't feel sorry for him. You feel inspired and filled with love. He deserves a second chance at life, and his journey shows us that love and care can make all the difference. Bob and dogs like him deserve unconditional love without pity.